Hey, it's the night before the full moon, which is on the morrow at about 11 o'clock in the morning. What you should be seeing here is NGC 40, but we're getting all kinds of interference from the moon, although I can see it right there near the very center of the screen. It's the 6th of September 2025, 9:06 p.m. I wanted to get out and do some circumpolars from pure north to about 80 degrees in celestial declination. So from 90 to 80 degrees. Tonight, the histogram is not setting itself up very well. I guess it must have an algorithm that basically makes decisions under ideal conditions, but pretty much leaves it up to the user when the circumstances are not quite that good. Let's do a quick zoom in on this planetary nebula NGC 40. I had a better view earlier. I'm not sure what's messing it up. Let me play with the histogram a little bit. And there we go. We're getting a little better view of the planetary. You can see it's probably 12th magnitude central star. The planetary itself has an average brightness of about 12. I have to get my notes for that. Give me a moment while you look at it. Unfortunately, my lamp is not turning color tonight. It's only doing white. Anyway, NGC 40 is a planetary nebula. I believe it's in Cassiopeia. It's magnitude 10.6, 38 by 35 arc seconds. It is a magnitude 11.5 central star. So the star is about half as bright as the nebulosity itself. Once again, a planetary nebula. Let's move on. Of course, there's one study that's almost smack dab in the middle of the 90 degrees north. That's Polarisma borealis. We're getting all kinds of luminosity on the screen. The moon is now some 20 to 25 degrees above the south eastern horizon. It's giving all kinds of craziness with the histogram. All I can do is play with it a little bit, and hopefully we can bring something out. Let's add a little magnification. I'm not sure where Polarisma is, but wherever it is in the night sky, we are not getting a particularly good view this full moon evening, although I suspect at magnitude 14.1, about 1 arc minute in size. Here it is on the screen in the center, and this is a very poor view, if in fact it is a view at all, but NGC 40 did center up quite well. I will also note that there are now high visible clouds due to the lunarity to the north, so we are going to get some obscuration. Anyway, an opportunity to explore the night sky under less than satisfying conditions. All right, what we're trying to do here is reproduce a view of 2300 and I believe it was 2286, and they are both on the screen. 2300 is kind of a lenticular elliptical galaxy, and 2968, I believe that's the designation, is this face-on spiral, intermediate spiral with of an SBC nature, so it's 3 times removed. Here is our view compared to the view the other night when the moon was not an issue. This is not a particularly good view, and I'm having to spend way too much time playing with the histogram even to get this view. Let's push it up to 150x. This is 2300 here. Now watch as I play with the histogram just a little bit and see if we can get these babies to pop. Oh yeah, we're seeing much more of the frontier now. I've slid the left histogram to the right towards the bump in the curve. I'll go ahead and move the right histogram a little bit, changing the background sky. That's not particularly bad. There are no clouds currently up in that part of the sky. And however, the moon is extremely luminous over my right shoulder. Not a bad view. Here we should be seeing NGC 2732. Looks like there's a bit of an edgy on right there. Why don't we zoom in? Things have been centering up pretty nice tonight. I have been playing with calculating the position of Polaris, and I've discovered in reference to Polaris that it's basically in the direction from the North Pole towards the double cluster in Perseus. So between Perseus and Cassiopeia. So if you know where they are in the sky, you can get a much better reference to the location of Polaris in respect with the North Pole. And using that information, I succeeded in getting pretty good alignment this evening, despite the fact there were high thin clouds. This is a very nice look for the evening, considering the situation, of an edge-on galaxy, NGC 2732. I have to tell you, most of the things I wanted to turn up tonight were behind the house, so they were too far below the pole to be viewed. So I've had to skip over 1550, I believe it was 2146, 2314, I thought we got 2441, we didn't, 2513, we didn't, 2551, we didn't, and 2646, I don't think we got. We're now at 20, and we didn't get 2633 or 2665, they were all too low. However, we're getting a decent view of NGC 2732, magnitude 11.9, has an average surface brightness of, it says here 12.4 because it's edge-on presented, 2.1 by 0.8 arc minutes with an average surface brightness of 12.1. Pretty much got all these studies out of the Wiltirian Deep Sky Atlas. And I looked, like I said, between 80 degrees north and the pole. There is, of course, another fainter galaxy here. I would estimate, since NGC 2732 is about 12th magnitude, this one is somewhere around 13.5, possibly 14. Steve Gottlieb's write-ups, fantastic write-ups online, will probably have a reference to this particular galaxy, and I'll write all of the ones that we image up tonight on the morrow. So good view. Once again, let's see what we got for magnification. This is a solid 150x view through 6-inch L Quattro f4, and we're using 10 seconds exposure time on this very bright night with the moon over my right, full moon practically over my right shoulder to the south and the east. Okay, I just centered the scope on NGC 2715. I haven't had to touch the histogram for a while. 2715 is a galaxy, of course, brightish, magnitude 11.2, but fairly large at 4.9 by 1.7 arc minutes with a 13.4 average surface brightness and an average brightness of 12.3, so probably just beyond the range of a 6-inch scope on a good night of seeing. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit on this galaxy, centering it up at 150x. We are getting probably a more or less face-on view of an immature galaxy with a faint diffuse core and some of its star formation regions surrounding it. We're probably only seeing maybe 2 arc minutes on this evening, so much of the galaxy's apparent size is not visible to us on this occasion, despite the fact we're operating at 10 seconds exposure time. Now, you may ask, why are the stars so nice and round? Well, yes, indeed, I did add an extension on to the counterweight of the right ascension axis, and I was able to perfectly balance the optical tube assembly along with the ZWO imager in both the declination, right ascension axes, and therefore the drive system is able to step smoothly through over a 10-second exposure time. And you know what we might want to do, because it's so nicely balanced? Why don't we try an even longer stacked exposure time and see what happens to the presentation of the stars and maybe get a better view of NGC 2715. Well, I'm afraid 2715 is now rotating behind the roof of the house. But I want to point this out. This is 30-second exposure time. And the key to this was going to 100%, our stars still look like tiny dots. Here's the galaxy here, but we're eclipsing most of the aperture of the scope due to the roof line moving on. What we are seeing here is NGC 6543. We're going to have to guess what it is. I do believe it's a planetary nebula. Let's zoom in to confirm that. Kind of hard to tell. It's extremely bright. There is a galaxy nearby. You can see the spiral arms. We'll look up 6543. I doubt it's this one. I basically took this out of a very, very old, very simplified chart called Seasonal Star Charts. I do believe we're seriously overexposed with this. I'm going to, at 30 seconds, let's drop it down again. But that galaxy is very interesting. We'll have to look it up to see what it is. So I'm going to give me a moment. We're at about 12 minutes into this video. I'm going to knock off at 15. Well, let's drop back down from 30 seconds to about 5. Whatever NGC 6543 is, it's still incredibly bright, but I do believe it's a planetary nebula. Let's drop down to 1 second exposure. Here's our 1 second exposure. It's still overexposed. I haven't really bothered to, here we are, playing a little bit with the histogram on this. Bringing out a little bit more. Once again, if it's on the seasonal star chart, it is a very obvious study. Maybe something like the Snowball Planetary. Let's see, we'll have to determine that on the morrow. Let's go down to 0.2 of a second exposure time. Okay, 0.2 of an exposure time. It's still extremely bright. We'll push the magnification way up. Maybe we can resolve a central star. It's clearly a planetary. It's got that bluish cast to it. We'll get the data on it tomorrow. I want to get one more view of a galaxy before I knock off this evening, and Carpe knocked him out. This current view is some 300x, which is a typical magnification for most planetary nebula, except for the very large ones like the dumbbell. All right, what we have here is clearly an edge-on galaxy. Its designation is Messier 102. I don't have a data available on me, but I did want to go out with a view of a galaxy. Typically, a Messier-class study can be seen through a 3 or 4-inch telescope, detected at least as some kind of anomaly in the sky, as it was by Charles Messier of Machine in the late 1700s. It's a nice, very nice edge-on galaxy. This is only a 5-second view. I do think I'm going to push on this one a little bit. It will be our Carpe Noctem view for the evening. I will provide more information on it as I put this video together tomorrow. Here we have a 10-second view. Let's push it up to 150x of Messier 102. What we should be looking for here are extensions going off in this direction. I do believe there's probably an H2 region there. I would imagine the actual galaxy extends from about here to there. Typically, very bright edge-on galaxies in the Messier class are at least 10 arc minutes, roughly 10 arc minutes in major axis, and an edge-on would probably be 1/4 of that, maybe 2 to 2.5 arc minutes in width. Here is our 10-second view. Let's see, before we run out of time, on if we can do a 30-second view. All right, sorry folks. What you're seeing here is the fact we cannot get enough stars because the clouds are moving in from the north and the west. That last view was our final view of the evening. We're coming up on 15 minutes of total Microsoft Windows snipping tool time, which is as much as I will allow in a single session, even with pauses. So with this view of the screen showing nothing, an ASI image, I'm going to say Carpe Noctem.
Music is deep inside of you.